Essentially, solar, you're just doing a bill swap. That's the way that I put it. Because most homeowners plan on paying their electric bill next month.
Yeah.
Right. If not, the lights are going to turn off. Right. So essentially, you guys are already paying for something. We're just redirecting the money into something that's a lot cheaper. So there's about 3 models. There's the financing route, there's the lease route, and then there's a
Yo, what's goody? What's goody? Latrell in a hoodie. Welcome to another episode of the Brother Next Door podcast, where I talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life, the actual steps, and my own personal experiences. In this episode, we have a special guest. Family, we've been rocking for a while, multiple years, and just to see this man grow, see this man develop to who he is today, the stuff he's doing, the trips he's taken has just been inspiring to me, brother. And so without further ado, let's welcome Laith to the Brother Next Door podcast.
Appreciate
Welcome,
that,
brother.
Appreciate that. Yo, I'm stoked to be on this podcast. We were talking earlier. I love the name, bro. I love the name. It's fire. But yeah, me and Latrell been rocking for what, like, is it 5 years?
I want to say 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 5 years now.
Yeah. It's been a minute. And so it's, like I said, it's been a journey. I mean, we ain't even got a, we ain't got a gatekeeper now. We did network marketing together. That's where we started. That's where we met. And out of that, we went our separate ways. I was like, hey, I'm done with this. I need to finish school. He stayed, I think, a tad bit longer after me. Maybe you left a little bit before.
Maybe like a tad. I don't know. I think we left like the same time.
Around the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely parted ways, and then obviously stayed connected, and here we are today.
Yep.
And so today, as you see by the title and the thumbnail, we're talking about solar. This is the route that Laith took. And so this episode, this is going to be the breakdown, so you know, and you're not watching 40, 50 minutes of it, and like, what's going on? First, we're going to talk about him and who Laith is, and then we're going to get into solar. We're going to talk about how he got into solar. We're also going to talk about, is solar right for you? So now you get the salesman, right? You get the person that knocks on the door without all the pressure of having him at your front door. So we're going to try, I'm going to do my best to answer or have him answer as many questions as possible.
Yep.
So let's get right into it. So Laith,
Latrell,
Let's back up even further, bro.
Okay.
Like, where did it start for you? Where did you grow up? Like, let's paint a picture for the people of how Laith became Laith.
Yeah, so I originally grew up in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
I moved here in like 7th grade. I've been here in Texas ever since. Went to middle school, high school here. Finished high school. Actually didn't end up going to school. My dad's a professor, so I had free tuition. So, not necessarily like the best choice that I could have made. I was like 17 when I graduated. Not my smartest decision. We fell into like network marketing, probably for like almost a year. And so after that, I moved into an apartment with some buddies, and then kind of fell off. And then I started working at restaurants. And then I was realizing, I was like, man, I gotta do something more than this. Yeah. So I started going back, like I moved back in with my parents because things weren't working out. And so I was still working at a restaurant. And I wanted to go back to like nursing assistant school. That's what my parents wanted me to do. So I tried that for like a little bit, and I just could not. I don't know if you guys know what like a CNA is, like a nursing assistant. Yeah, it's not fun.
It's
like,
tough. Yeah.
I respect anybody in like the healthcare industry, but personally, it wasn't for me, and I knew that. So I always kind of like to talk and ramble a lot. So I was like, maybe I should get into sales. So one of my buddies, he cuts hair, and I met another guy who was selling cars at the time, and he was telling me, he was like, yo, like I'm 19, I sold 15 cars last month. I made good money. I was like, okay, that's actually really dope. So I was still working at my restaurant, and I had a buddy who was working with me too. And I was like, bro, I think we need to get out of here because we're not doing too much. So I ended up just looking for car jobs or car dealerships. We were literally like, after work, we would literally go get on a Polo, and we would drive to Toyota. We would drive to Honda. We would drive all over the place, like trying to get interviews, just like walking in there with no sales experience at all. And then finally, one day, it was kind of crazy. I was kind of praying on it. I was going to church, and this was the first time I actually started going to church. It was kind of crazy. I'll praise the Most High. But a random customer came in while I was at the bar, and I was bartending at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And he heard me talking about like selling something, and he was like, "Son, what do you do?" And I looked at his shirt, and it was like a car dealership shirt. I was like, "No way." It was called, I'm not gonna say the name of the dealership, but yeah, it was a car dealership, and he ended up giving me an interview the next day, and I got hired the next day.
Wow.
So that's kind of how that happened. So I sold cars for about 4 months. Now to backtrack a little bit, I actually got into solar from a buddy who was selling for a while. I did solar for like 2 weeks. Somebody was telling me, "Hey, you can knock on doors, you can make money." And I tried it for 2 weeks. I set some appointments. None of them closed. It was terrible. We were knocking in the rain. It was cold outside. I hated it. I hated it. So I was still selling cars. Like I gave up the solar thing because I tried that for 2 weeks. I hated it. So I was selling cars for like 4 or 5 months. I had some buddies who ended up staying in it because we all tried it at the same time. And I think we went out one night and they were like, "Yo, like, this solar thing is actually kind of real, Laith." I was like, "Really?" And they showed me a check for like $9,000. And that was like their weekly check. And I was like, "Dude, what? Like, we don't even make that in a month selling cars at the dealership we were at."
Facts.
So yeah, after that, I jumped on the train. Now about me and 2 of my roommates, we sell full time. But yeah, I'm a yapper, I'm a rambler, so I'm gonna let Latrell ask some more questions.
And family, I'm not gonna disclose this man's information, but he showed me one of them checks. His checks, not his buddy, his checks.
Yeah.
And it was a nice check, family.
Yeah.
It was a nice check, family.
Yeah,
So
that's
legit.
the thing. That's the thing. Like, dude, I struggled a lot. Like, coming out of high school, and I figured out like if you're not gonna go become like, a doctor, a lawyer, if you're not gonna go into business or engineering.
Yeah.
My little brother's going to school for engineering. He's doing amazing right now. That's what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're already done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Done. Let's
Done.
go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. He's done. But yeah, like if you're not in school, I highly recommend you got to do something. You got to do something. You can go into trade school. Trade school is great. Like, plumbers, electricians make great money. As I was growing older, I realized like I had to do something more. And sales is kind of like, sales is the kind of job where it's tough. It doesn't matter if you're selling cars, you're selling life insurance, you're selling solar panels, whatever you're selling. You're just going to get paid for how much you sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the amount you can make is it's up to you.
I agree with that, bro. And not to deviate too much from the main point of the podcast, but like when people ask about, starting businesses and stuff, I'm like, bro, start with either network marketing or start somewhere where you're not, putting 100% of your money into it. That way you really understand what you're getting yourself into. Network marketing is great because there's no overhead. All you're doing is telling people about the product. If you can't do that, if you can't tell people about a product that you truly like and trust, and that's why I dropped out, because I wasn't really believing in the product. But if you can't even do that, then you're not going to be able to handle.
You're cooked.
You're cooked. And so I'm glad you said that, because it's like, bro, try solar, fam. If you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, try sales. You never know. And that's a blessing that man came in that bar, bro.
Yeah,
it
was an absolute blessing.
Right there.
It was an absolute blessing because, like, honestly, I'll be vulnerable because I don't care. At the time when I moved back in with my parents, I broke up with my ex. Not saying names, none of that. This was probably like 3.5 years ago, and like I stacked on some credit card debt on an Amex card that I got approved for that I probably shouldn't have gotten approved for. I don't know how I did. But there was a lot of money on that sucker, so I was in debt, for real. I was in debt. And my dad, Arab dads are, shout out my dad, I love him, but they can be harsh. Yeah. So he just had like a really vulnerable moment with me when he saw the Amex statement that came in on paper. Yeah. So like they didn't know where I was, but he saw that and he had like a real like life-changing conversation with me from man to man. I won't forget that. And that's when I realized like I needed to make something shake myself. And school wasn't necessarily a thing for me. I tried like the nursing assistant stuff. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the discipline to do that. But yeah.
So the family, this is a guy right here said, "Hey, school's not really working for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get into the sales." And so my question is, how long did it take before you started seeing I call it profits, but seeing success in solar?
Okay. So I actually quit my job, and I wanted to put in my 2 weeks, but I told my boss, because business was so slow because it was a new car dealership.
Gotcha.
My boss was amazing. He was like, Laith, I believe in you. I told him about the checks and what my friends were making, and he's like, you don't need to put in your 2 weeks. He said, I want you to go sell as many as you can this week. Come back to me in a week. So that same day, I left the car dealership and I went out there. So basically, the business model, there's basically like two components. You have a setter who's like setting appointments, they're knocking on doors, they're getting electric bills. And then they're basically just setting up an appointment time that a closer will come into the house and basically be the professional and break down the information for the homeowner. But essentially at that time, I started off as a setter, so my buddies were closing. So I would knock on 100 doors a day in the cold, because at that time it was freezing cold. I would knock on like 100 doors a day, and I would set my buddies' appointments, and they would just go in the house, and I'd send them an electric bill, and I'd set up a time. I think my first week I closed 3.
Wow.
I closed 3, so the commission at that time was not great. But honestly, the downside to some of the solar is like it can take a while to get paid, because you're not going to get paid unless the panels are on the roof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it took me probably like a month and a half, and at that time I was still using my Amex card. So for anybody who's telling you, is like, yo, you're going to come into this thing and just make a crap ton of money, like really quickly, you can, but it's going to take a minute to get paid. So I would say, like, for me personally, I got paid within like my first month and a half.
Gotcha.
And then from there, I started closing my own deals.
Okay. And so how long did it take for you to be like, hey, I don't need to live off anybody else, like I'm 100% dependent?
I'd say probably like my second month.
Second month. Okay.
After I set a couple of appointments, and then when you're setting appointments at the time with the company I was with, we only getting like $1,200 a deal.
Cool. And the point of me saying that was, it wasn't necessarily about that time. It was about that time plus the time you spend in network marketing, plus the time you spend at the dealership.
That's
and
different,
so
bro.
What people don't realize is, bruh, I see podcasters coming in out the blue and they be racking up the views, and I'm like, bruh. But then I look at their track history and it's like, oh, they have experience in talking. They have experience elsewhere. So it may not be directly correlated with podcasting, but they have already built up the experience beforehand. So that way, when they step into what God has called them to in this season, it seems like they're an overnight success. But in reality,
How long did it take?
It took so many years being at a, car dealership and network marketing and all these different things just to finally get to this point to where it only takes 2 months to see real success.
That's kind of what they say too, is, like when preparation meets the right opportunity, it'll click.
Yeah.
So high ticket sales is one of those things. The turnover rate is pretty high of like retention of people, because not everybody can make a full-time living knocking doors.
Facts.
Like still, if you ask me like, Laith, are you excited to go out and knock doors? I'm like, sure. I'm excited to save the homeowners money, but
But that's the thing. Everybody has something that they hate about what they do. There has to be something, one little thing that you do that's a part of what you're required to do that you hate, bro.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So
yeah. I mean, the one thing that I do love about what I do is, like, to be honest, I haven't even knocked in like 2-3 months. Just been traveling. So like the way most of like the business models work, like even if
you've been doing what the past 2-3 months?
Traveling.
Boy been traveling.
Yeah, just traveling, DJing a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just honestly enjoying life. A way a lot of these companies work, like pest control, Vivint, like home security, solar, a lot of different industries, or a lot of different companies in the industry. A lot of people really just work their butts off in the summer, like when there's more daylight, when the weather is a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you have more time to sell. So like some people work 4 or 5 months out of the year and then they're done. A lot of people in college, it's a great opportunity for a lot of like college students. If you're not doing anything in the summer, you could either go get a job making $15 an hour, or the harder thing to do is go knock on these doors, Go actually like push your limits and see what kind of ROI you can have for the work ethic that you put in.
That's good, bro. Yeah, I had that type of model my freshman year going into college. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, bro. I saved up like $1,000. I was like, bro, this is not gonna do much for me.
Yeah.
But hey, I made it work for freshman year. $500 for the first semester, $500 for the second semester. Everything else I had to just figure out. But yeah, to be able to do something at a bigger scale and be like, hey, I saved up $10,000, over the course of 3 months. That's a lot better situation right there.
It
bro.
is.
So that's dope. So now y'all know about Laith. Now let's get into the other part of it. Like I said, man of my word, let's get into solar for the people who are interested. People are thinking about it. Let's talk about solar, bro. So what all comes with getting solar panels? Like I know you get, the panels, of course.
Yeah.
You probably get something to switch between the panels and the grid and batteries. Right. And so what all comes with it?
Right. So essentially solar, you're just doing a bill swap. That's the way that I put it. Mm-hmm. Because most homeowners plan on paying their electric bill next month. Yeah. Right. If not, the lights are going to turn off. Right. So essentially you guys are already paying for something. We're just redirecting the money into something that's a lot cheaper. So there's about 3 models. There's the financing route, there's the lease route, and then there's a power purchase agreement route. So basically kind of like a lease to buy is the most popular. That way, a lot of people have the misconception of like, hey, to save money, I know that solar works. I know that energy from the sun is cheaper than a 100-year-old electric grid that we have here in Texas. Yeah. But I don't have 10 grand to put down. I don't have 30, 40 grand that I want to basically put a brand new F-150 on my roof and have to finance that, right? So basically, instead of financing right now, essentially what we do is we basically use like a lending program to use their equipment. Comes with the inverters, the panels, and backup batteries as well. Because if you have solar if you just have solar and you don't have a battery, then if the grid goes down, you lose power as well. Yeah. But yeah, essentially what you're doing in solar is you're just replacing somebody's electric bill for something a lot cheaper that doesn't go up anymore. So like you remember when gas was, Mr. Homeowner, let's say you're 40 years old, when gas was, let's just say, $1. Remember that? Yeah. Oh, you do? Oh, well, knowing what you know now about gas prices. Yeah. Back in my day, knowing what you know now about gas prices, Mr. Homeowner, if you had a car that you could have locked in and continued to pay that $1 and it never went up, would you have done it?
For sure.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Big facts.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So have you ever had somebody, or do you even offer just somebody paying in full? Somebody got paper and they're just like, hey, install it. Hey, I'm going to pay the full 30, 40K.
I've had one guy who, it was like a $45,000 system. Mm-hmm. He paid cash for. But I mean, in my opinion, and like I sell this stuff, you know what I mean? Is like personally, like it's gonna take a longer return on your investment. Like unless you just want to, buy all your energy up front and you're good. And yeah, I mean, if you have the cash, also if you're financing or paying cash, you can also get a 30% tax credit from the government.
Oh yeah.
So some people like to utilize that tax credit because sometimes they don't just apply it to the system; they apply it to something else that they need. Mm. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So
okay, that's interesting, bro. And so, how many batteries do people usually get?
Usually like one.
Just one.
And I say like some people get it, some people don't. Because batteries can be expensive unless you're doing like a lease program and the battery is included with the equipment that you're basically borrowing.
Got you. And is the equipment interchangeable? Like say I want a Tesla Powerwall. And I like what Tesla has going on, but I already have a solar system.
No, it can interconnect.
Okay, bet. Oh, that's good. And so, another question I had. And so when it comes to selling, and it's like, hey, not you selling, but I got these solar panels, but now I got to move out the house.
Now you got to move out the house. So there's 2 ways.
What's going on here?
Being completely transparent, right? Because there are a lot of shady people in the solar industry.
Yeah.
If the panels are financed and you own them, technically there's a lease or a lien on the home, right? So it can be a little bit more challenging to sell that. So what you're gonna have to do if you own the system, either is one gonna have to be paid off from you, or you're going to have to roll in the remaining amount that you owe on that system into the house, like into the value of the house. So it can also be a good thing as well, like if you're owning, because you would be spending this $200-300 a month to the electric company that you don't see back. But now essentially that equity is in your house if you're selling it.
Yeah.
Right. So some homeowners get nervous about it, but I mean, there's plenty of great realtors. And then also for the second option, if it's a power purchase agreement, there's no lien on the house.
Okay.
Right. So that's what's so popular now. I haven't even sold a loan in over a year. Just because there's no lien on the house, the next homeowner, they just continue to pay. Just like if you were switching to another house with a different electric provider, that's what the homeowner's doing now. They're just taking over the 12 cents a kilowatt that you're paying for electricity, that $100 flat bill.
Gotcha. That's smooth. And what about the maintenance of the panels? Because I'm sure they get dusty, and naturally they're electrical equipment. So
yeah, so every system that we sell has a production guarantee. Yeah. So for 25 years, if your house is consuming 15,000 kilowatts within, a year, we're going to guarantee that it's going to be able to produce 20,000. We're going to overproduce you. So you have a production guarantee. Sometimes like panels can get dirty. You can just spray them with a hose.
Okay.
But yeah, most of these companies and, finance companies, lenders, they all have warranties.
Gotcha.
They'll have warranties.
Okay, cool. And is there any other maintenance required with solar panels? Like you say, like, just use a hose, but what if it's like a 2-foot?
So the cool thing is like majority of like the equipment that we use is like in-phase equipment, so it's high grade. Yeah. So you can look at your daily production. You can look at your monthly production from an app off your phone.
Oh, that's lit.
So that way, it's like if something is wrong, if you do need maintenance, the panel will turn red.
Okay.
Or it'll also show you, and you'll get a notification on your phone that, hey, the panels are not producing as much as they should be. So, that way you can look at it, and you're always going to be able to see what your panels are producing on your phone. So that's cool.
That's cool. Okay. And so with that, and I'm glad you brought that up. So with how much the panels are producing, say your house isn't consuming all that it's producing. Okay. Can we send it back to the?
I like it. So it depends on the electric company.
Okay.
So basically, you have a co-op, which is just like, for example, co-service, just in one area, there's only one electric company. Right. So imagine like if you were the owner of a gas station in a 100-mile radius, you can charge whatever you want. Yeah. What's somebody going to do if they're trying to get to the next town, not fill up their tank?
Facts.
You charge $7 a gallon. So a lot of people hate co-ops because they don't have another option to switch. So there's some companies where you can pick from 20 companies under one. But basically, it depends on the electric company that you have. If you overproduce, most companies do a 1-to-1 buyback. Okay. Right? So essentially, like if you produce 500 kilowatts extra, they're going to credit you that 500 at 15 cents, 20 cents, whatever you guys signed up with. So yeah, it just depends. But people can actually get cash back. And most companies, it's just a rollover credit. So like if you remember minutes, like how it would roll over. Oh, yeah. So like if 1 month the panels didn't produce enough because the kids were playing Xbox, you and the wife were having a bunch of crazy nights, throwing parties, whatever you guys are doing, you're using so much energy. We're just gonna roll over from those extra credits that you have. But yeah, most companies do not do cashback. But yeah, just basically it just rolls over so you guys can get that extra energy back.
Okay. Yeah. And have you ever done a deal with someone that wanted to be completely off grid? I know that's rare, especially since we're in Dallas.
I mean, I've heard people like talk about it, but essentially, like in the state of Texas, like you have to have an electrical meter.
Really?
Like because I mean every house has an electric meter, so it's like you have to be connected technically to the grid. Yeah. Because you're pushing and pulling from the grid.
Gotcha.
Right. So I've personally never helped somebody go completely off grid because everybody in Texas pretty much has a meter.
Okay. And how much are you don't have to give me an exact number, but how much are the fees for just maintaining that connection? Because I know some companies
some it's zero.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, really?
So it depends on your electric company. And then some of them it's $20 connection fee, $40 connection fee. It's probably the highest that I've seen.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay. And how long? So backing up all the way to the beginning of the conversation. I know we all over the place. It's all right. It's the brother next door.
It's the brother next
door. That's what we
Come on.
do.
It's the brother next
So
door.
going through the process, what does that look like? You said you have setters and then you
Okay.
have closers. So say
Okay,
the
back onto
setter
the sales
comes.
side.
Yeah. So
Okay.
how long is this process? Like from the setter comes, knocks on my door to I got solar panels on my roof. Let's go through that.
Okay. So essentially, like, let's just say sometimes we self-gen as well. So like, if I'm a closer, I'll go knock a door and sell it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So basically, a setter could, let's just say, knock on a door, set one for 30 minutes later, and the closer is 10 minutes away in another neighborhood knocking, getting another appointment, and then he's like, hey, we got an appointment at 4:30. Okay, I'm there.
We're on the way.
And then boom, you close it. So that's the same day. We call those the same days. Sometimes you can set it for like, another day. You can set it for another week. It just completely depends. Typically when you're in a house, it takes about like, an hour just to go over, look at their energy, calculate how much that they're using. We draw out basically like a little engineer design on our software that'll show them exactly where the panels go, how much they're saving, what their new monthly bill would be. So just compare apples to apples. It takes about like an hour.
Okay. That's smooth.
Yeah.
And then when do you guys get the stuff installed? Do you get subcontractors to go ahead and install that? Is that in-house with the company?
So some companies are in-house. Sometimes people hire, like third-party contractors as well. Majority of the time it is in-house though.
Okay.
But yeah, so you need a city permit, and you have to have like approval from the electric company. Unless there's no permits, then you can, but you do still need like approval from the electric company. You can't just slap panels up. And then sometimes you have to get approved from an HOA as well.
Gotcha.
And an HOA can't stop you from going solar, but it just depends how long the permits are. Sometimes there's no permits, you can install it in a week. Sometimes the permits are a pain in the butt. It takes 1 to 2 months. Just like even if you're trying to get a pool, I'm sure like anybody who's tried to build like, a pool or like a gazebo in the back, you have to have a permit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, I didn't even know that. I've done a lot of research, but I didn't even think about the permit side of things.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
working for the city, bro, or not working for the city, but just interacting with the city, bro. They be
Doing too
dragging their
much.
feet, bro.
They're just doing too much.
Especially with companies, they will take months, not days, but months.
Yeah.
It's bad. I'm not gonna go into that, but I get it. And so, okay, cool. So that's how long generally it takes. Okay, let me ask you this: what's the most frequent objection you get?
I'm not interested.
I'm not interested.
Well, Mr. Customer, of course you're not. You don't have the panels yet. Like, I completely understand. I'm sure that you guys have looked into this plenty of times. Okay, and honestly, like, I can't blame you. It doesn't make sense putting $40,000 of cash on the top of my roof. Like, honestly, I wouldn't do it either. Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? You guys just got a notice from Encore that they're actually coming out to switch out your electric meters and redo a lot of the equipment. You remember Snowmageddon?
Yeah.
When everything went out, when all that,
And
like,
they
really, like, Texas
ranked up the prices. Yeah.
raked up the prices. Well, guess what? All that stuff was damaged. The grid was damaged so heavily, but somebody's got to pay for it. Now it's you guys. So I'm sure you guys are aware of how expensive your guys' new bills are. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? Because you looked into it in the past and it didn't make sense. Right? So essentially, there's a new Green Deal Act that just got passed. They're actually now providing you guys with panels that you don't have to pay for. You don't have to pay for an install, and you guys don't have to finance.
So y'all getting the insights on what it's like on his side, on the salesman side.
Yeah.
You getting it what it's like on my side that doesn't have a house. I'm ready to buy solar, fam. I don't even have a crib, and I'm ready to buy. But nah, that's lit, and hopefully you guys are getting value from this and just getting the insights of what buying solar might look like for you. You know what I'm saying? He gave you multiple options. He gave you the biggest objection. So don't come at him with that objection, because you already heard.
I get it. I know you're not interested. That's why you don't have it.
You get it.
I get it.
Come at it with something deeper. If you do have a legitimate, like, there's something about it, I don't know, take time to figure out what that reason is. Like, why is it that you don't want solar panels? Is it truly just because the cost or whatever the case may be? Like, there's an answer for it, family. There's an answer for it. And all it takes is an hour, as Laith said, to get that clarity. And sometimes that's all it takes. Spend that hour, because what you probably watching TV. Let's be real. You got off work. You chilling. You're not really doing nothing. Take that hour to get the clarity you need, get all the answers answered for you, and see if it is right for you. Even damn Dave Ramsey approves of solar panels, fam. And you know how Dave is. Dave don't like a lot of stuff, especially debt. And he doesn't really like you going into debt for solar panels. But that's neither here nor there.
That's why you do a lease or a PPA.
Exactly. And so the point being is, if Dave Ramsey approves of solar panels, fam, at least look into it. That's all I'm saying. I say this every episode. Do your own research, right? After you watch this episode, go do some more research. Go watch some other videos. Hit up Laith. We're going to tag him down in the description. If you have any questions, you can go and DM him and get your questions answered. But I don't want you guys to hold back just because, it's another guy knocking at my door. I brought him into the brother next door. That way he doesn't have to come knock at your door. You can just hit him up, answer your questions, and then y'all can move forward and possibly get solar panels on your roof within the next couple days, weeks, or months. But I hope you guys just enjoy this episode. It was jam-packed with a lot of value, a lot of knowledge. Is there anything else you want to give the people? I got one last question for you, but is there anything else you want the people to know?
We're always hiring.
There you go.
We're always hiring. So if you have sales experience, if you don't have sales experience, just hit us up. As long as you're a hard worker, we'll probably hire you. All right. We're not just looking for anybody, but the biggest thing is work ethic and honesty. We're hiring.
They're hiring, fam. So hey, if you want a job in solar, you want to knock on some doors, get to the point to where you're closing deals.
Yep.
Hey, here is your opportunity. This is your sign from God. Go ahead and take it. Run with it. Last question I have for you that I ask all my guests, or I try to ask all my guests, is what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten from anyone or anything, whether it's a book, audiobook, whatever?
Okay, that's good. I'm going to say this. I feel like, especially now with I know For You pages and the algorithm, even just scrolling on social media, we see so much motivational stuff every single day. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you're getting gems every single day. I just think knowledge is nothing without application.
That's good.
Because I feel like everybody can be their own counselor. Everybody knows what they need to do in their life. But if you know what to do, you're not applying it, that's why you are where you are. Yeah. So I would just say every day, you're probably, after this episode, you might scroll on TikTok. Hopefully you're going to go watch more episodes of Brother Next Door. But just take whatever you're listening to. The way you do one thing is how you do everything. Whatever it is, just apply it, and you're gonna see the results.
That's good, bro. That's really good.
So apply.
Faith without works is dead.
Yep.
And so, fam, that's a bar. Cause I find myself scrolling as well. Yep. And it's that was good. Let me double tap in. Shit, save that. Let me check the next one. Bro, what you facts? It's I didn't do anything with that information. It just sounded good in the moment, and now I done forgot what they even said, a day later. And so it's family, if you gonna take in some information, actually take it in and start applying it. A mentor of mine used to say, don't try to get the most you can out of a situation, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a book, whether it's a podcast, whatever. Don't try to take all of it. Just take one thing. You read a whole book, 1,000 pages. Okay, take one thing out of that book, and your job that day or that week is to apply that one thing. If it's learning a new skill set, take it one step at a time, and it'll take you a lot further. So now, you ask anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, that was real good, brother.
Fire.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Hit up Laith if you have any questions, or if you want a job, or if you want solar panels, whatever the case may be. That's your guy. And I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace.